All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. Got the Mayakoba Golf Classic here live video going for you. A little bit late here. No, there's an NFL game going on, so I'm not sure how many viewers will be getting, but I am pretty excited for this Mayakoba Golf Classic. So we already got Brian in here. What's up, Brian? Why is Finau so low owned? You know, honestly, I don't really get why Finau is so low owned. I think it's just course history wise. People really haven't seen it from him thus far. I'll pull him up here on the stat sheet. He's more of at a price point where it worries you a little bit. I guess that's the biggest issue, is that he's at a price point that somewhat does worry you. So we'll pull him up here. So course history rank, you know, you look miscut there, and then at 16th, and then a miscut. So 2 out of his 3 starts here at this course have been miscuts. You know, that's not good, but obviously he had the top 20 finish mixed in there. Relatively decent recent form. The biggest issue with him, and I think what people are most worried about, is this drive and accuracy stat, since it is one of the more key stats this week. Tony Finau, we know that he can bomb it though. See, that's the thing. That's why it's a little bit skewed, is that yes, his accuracy has been off, but if he needed to, he could club down to a 3-wood, and his 3-wood distance would be about the same as some of those guys that really rank out strong in driving accuracy. So I'll just pull that up here real quick just for example purposes here. So yeah, just sorting driving accuracy. If we're just to look at like, let's go to top 40 here. There's not that many for driving accuracy that are top 40 this week. Yeah, very limited. But for example purposes, like Tony Finau going down to his 3-wood would essentially be the same as Ryan Armour with his driver. You know what I mean? So essentially it's about the same thing, kind of evens out to about the same thing there. So, you know, I'm not that worried about Tony Finau. The problem with him is just that it's a pay up play. You know, you're worried about paying up for him at that price point. Seems like if the course is wet, it'll help Finau. Yeah, I mean, most likely. This is one where people do worry about driving accuracy a decent amount, so that is going to be kind of the worry with him. I think that's what most people are worried about with him. But we'll talk about some of the other plays here. So one player that I have gone on more and more as the week has went on has been Patton Kizzire. And I think Chad, he was in the comment section of the Core Plays video kind of talking about it as well. Patton Kizzire is really just catching my eye. Former winner at this course. And the thing that I like most about him is that he was able to make the cut in 2019, in 2018, when he was playing horribly. I think that really says something about someone in terms of course history, is that when their golf game is not really going their way, they're still able to kind of find their events that they like and make the cut. Now, those weren't great finishes, but obviously he does like this course, is what I'm trying to get at. Top 10 finish here, or top 10 finish at the RSM Classic. Top 15 finish at the Houston Open. I like that a ton. And then you're just looking at some of the key stats that we're looking at this week. Top 45 or top 46 and all of these key stats here: total driving, ball striking, birdie to bogey ratio, and total putting. I really do like that for Patton Kizzire there. So just talking about some of the high-end guys, just touching on it again. So we'll sort that out here. So the really high-end guys are kind of the make or break point this week, I think. Do that. So between these 4, you know, there's no real reason to pay up for any of them, because they all kind of have their blemishes when it comes to playability for this tournament. So just starting off, Justin Thomas, no tournament history here in the last 4 years, but recent form rank is great. Second place finish at the Zozo, 12th at the CJ Cup. Those were no-cut events. We kind of knew that he would play well at those events. The worry about Justin Thomas is really, here, let me put this back. The worry with Justin Thomas here is that he really does somewhat struggle in terms of just like a random bad round, and that can really hinder him throughout throughout a full tournament field event. So with Justin Thomas, the appeal with him always in a no-cut event is that you're going to get 4 rounds out of him, and if we're going to get 4 rounds out of Justin Thomas, we know he's eventually going to put together a solid performance. With a full tournament field event, there's always that worry with him that he could go off and have a bad week, just a randomly bad week. And by that, I just mean with a bad round. One bad round, one bad tee shot could really cost him a tournament. And I think that's people's worries, and that's my worry with him at that high of a price point. Brooks Koepka, obviously, we're really worried about him. Just not good in driving accuracy. There's no real stats to tell us that he's going to go off and have a good week. There's no course history data. The only thing that we're really banking on with Brooks is that, hey, he splashed some upside relatively recently. That's really all we have with Brooks. 2 top 10 finishes in a row. To me, that's not enough to pay up for him. I would much rather go with a guy like Harris English here, who just as much upside recently, much better stat fit. He has played this course, although mixed results. He seemed to have figured out this course last year and just his whole golf game. So I just don't really get the point of paying up for Tony Finau or Brooks Koepka when we can pay down for someone like Harris English at that price point. Hey, DFS Chef, really appreciate that, man. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun weekend. Going to try to golf tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Well, maybe tomorrow, but Friday. We'll see. It's going to be about 40 out, so that will be a little bit difficult. Kind of fun, though. I'm excited for that. So Will Zalatoris here. I'll pull him up. So I don't really get the appeal for Zalatoris here. Gotta reset the data. So the thing I'm worried about with him is that stroke gained approach isn't that good, driving accuracy isn't that good. The thing we're banking on is really the fact that he's played well this season. He's played well on the tour, 2 straight make cuts in a row. He is a top 22 stat fit. And I just want to call this out too. This is kind of the event or the field that we had this week. That's someone that you can see it, guys, right here. Like, these are horrible stats for the most part, and he's still a top 25 stat fit. That really tells you about the drop-off that we had this week. I know Scott Piercy, I was talking up on the 9 to 5 page, and I'm like, he's a horrible stat fit. But for this field, he's still top 25. It was just very weird. Like, that should not be happening when their stats are this poor. So for me, I don't want to pay up for Zalatoris there. For me, I would just much rather pay up for like Corey Connors. I don't love him, but at that price point range, I'd much rather pay up for him. And we can compare him to someone like, let's pull up Russell Henley as well. I'd much rather pay up for Russell Henley or Corey Connors. We'll look at their stats here. Both strong in driving accuracy, both strong in stroke gained approach, both strong in birdie to bogey ratio. The worry with those two is that they suck at putting. Okay. Take that with a grain of salt, if you will, because, this course should be a little bit easier to putt on. But still, we typically see strong putters go out and win this event. So, in terms of like winning upside, that might cap them a little bit. But overall, still top 10 stat fits for both of them. Still strong plays. I like Russell Henley a lot more, though, than I do Corey Connors. So I just can't pay up for Zalatoris there, especially like Ricky Fowler's there as well. I'll pull up Ricky. Really like Ricky this week, too. Ricky is great. That was a great play. It seems like his game's starting to come around. So look at his recent form. It's been a little bit hit or miss. He's really had one bad round in there for about the past 3 months, it seems like, where he just really struggles. Consistency is the thing with Ricky. And, this could be the week he puts it all together. We know historically he's a strong putter. Historically he's a great ball striker and total driver. This could be the week where he puts it all together. And for 9.5 for a guy that has played well here in the past, top 16 and a second place finish, I actually like that. I don't think he's going to be as high owned as, he probably should be. Connors is on fire, so that's the thing. There are some players here that do have some pretty solid recent form. If we're just looking at, the last few starts. So Henley, Connors there, 2 top 10 finishes in a row. 3 of his last 4 finishes have been top 10 finishes. Carlos Ortiz is coming off of a victory. That's great. Obviously, Patton Kizzire, great finishes recently. Go lower. Brian Gay coming off of a victory. Doug Gim as well. Charlie Hoffman, not Charlie Hoffman, Peter Malnati as well. There's some guys that are coming in with some good recent form that do not exactly have great course history. Then there's another one. My boy John Hutt is coming in with some great recent form as well. So this is a very interesting week, but I've kind of figured out kind of how I'm chopping it down. But I'll talk about some players in great recent form. Let's see there. It's obviously JT, some of the bigger end guys. The best value here would be, let's see, sort out. So Corey Connors is getting knocked a little bit because of his 61st place finish a few events ago. But if you're just looking at like the last 4 tournaments, he'd be on this list. So yeah, John Hutt, guys. I think he's going to be my go-to play this week. I just like him 7.4 for a guy that has played well at this course. He's made the cut here twice out of the last 4 years, only in 3 starts, missed the cut one other time, but had a top 30 finish there. If we just pull up his stats, I'll pull up his stats here because he is standing out. I know I mentioned this on the core plays video, but he's just looking like a play that should dominate. So there it is. You know, in 2018, missed the cut. Made the cut 2017, 2016. The worry about him is that I'm pretty sure he's not ranking out on total putting because he's that bad of a putter. Probably like 220th or something like that. I only go to like 200th in my putting or in all of my stats, really. So that could be what it is. I'd have to double check that. But other than that, relatively solid everywhere else. Strokes gained total kind of lacks. That does worry you a little bit, but driving accuracy, we love that. Top 25. Birdie to bogey ratio. Top 40. Strokes gained approach. Top 30. Total driving, ball striking, top 30. It's just going to be tough for me not to play him at this price point. It definitely seems like a mispriced play. He's made 3 straight cuts in a row. He's almost checking all the boxes, so I do really like him as a play this week. Let's see here. You like Victor Hovland? So Victor Hovland, I am struggling with. It's kind of the price point thing for me. Oops. Load back up the stat sheet there. Sorry. You know, the course history does worry you. His golf game hasn't really changed that much in the last 2 years. If anything, you can say he's starting to get a little bit worse. He's starting to be on like the downward turn, if you will. I think that's a little bit harsh to say because obviously he's still a great golfer, but you could kind of look at and see why he struggled here. Driving accuracy has struggled. Birdie to bogey ratio has struggled. And, you know, if you're struggling in strokes gained approach, which is kind of middle of the pack there, his around the green game is pretty poor. So if you were to look at like a secondary stat with this, it'd be, you know, strokes gained approach. And then if their strokes gained approach is poor, you want to look at strokes gained around the green. And for Victor Hovland, he just doesn't have that going for him. I do worry about him as a play, especially at that price point. There's much better plays at that price point range. I already touched on some of them. Henley, Ricky, English I like, Abraham Answer I like. So that's where I really do struggle with him. Brian Gay with the withdrawal, though. Yeah, don't play Brian Gay. Yeah, that's right. Brian Harmon free square on FanDuel. So I remember, who was it the last time? FanDuel does this like twice a year, it seems like, where they just really mess up the pricing, where one player is just way too cheap, and they just like forget about him. One time it was Zach Johnson. I know that was like a few years ago. And then who is it recently? There's someone where it's just like we have to roster him, and he missed the cut. I think it was Billy Horschel. Not Billy Horschel. It was someone like that, where it's like we have to play them. They're a great play at their price point. But I'll pull up Brian Harmon here because, you know, I'm not going out of my way to play him on DraftKings this week. So I think that kind of says something for him as a play on FanDuel. You could probably gain some ownership leverage on him. I do think he should make the cut here, but I don't know. The stats weren't exactly there for him, and that's kind of what I worry about with Scott Piercy this week as well. I'll touch on that after this, but Stats are relatively decent. Once again, these are not great stats, but he is still grading out. It's a top 20 stat fit, top 20 in my model as well. He's made the cut here, and honestly, his game was a little bit better in like 2018, not so much in 2019. This should be a course that he plays well at. He's a guy that typically can put the ball where he wants to, and he's typically a strong putter. It's weird that he hasn't played well at this course before. But I could really see him being like a chalky disappointment this week on FanDuel. I don't know, it just worries me. DraftKings, there's much better quality of plays as price point range. On FanDuel, obviously, you're not going to get that. It would just be an ownership thing. And this is like the only time I actually would ever care about ownerships for like GPPs and maybe even cash. Because if he does miss the cut and you kind of do a more fair and balanced approach on FanDuel, which on FanDuel you guys can actually typically just put in whichever lineup you want. It's a lot easier to make things work on FanDuel. So I guess maybe that's not the route to go, but you could really gain some, I guess, leverage there in cash, which I kind of hate to do. I kind of hate that strategy, just focus on getting 6 for 6 across the cut line. But I don't know, Brian Harman does worry me as a play this week. He's going to be really chalky on FanDuel, which he should. And then DraftKings, there's better quality plays as price point range. Joaquin Niemann, no, I don't like Joaquin Niemann that much. I don't know. That seems like I should be on him, but I worry about him as a play this week. So we got a question about the defending champ, Brennan Todd. So the thing with Todd here is, I'll pull him up here. I'll just pull up the driving accuracy again. Do like top 70, whatever. I believe he's top 70. Yeah, top 50. So Brennan Todd is top 50 in driving accuracy. He's a strong total putter. We kind of know that that's what we want to expect from this tournament, but I'd much rather go with someone that's in better form, that's relatively similar stat fit. Someone like Adam Long makes sense. He had a second place finish here last year. Ches Reavie, even, I think he's going to be pretty chalky. I do worry about him being too chalky. Denny McCarthy should absolutely dominate this course. He did miss the cut last week, but still, relatively fine recent form. Miscut does worry you. We can even go lower, like Bryce Garnett. I'm getting on him more and more as the week has went on. I don't really feel great about it, but strong course history. He typically plays well at courses like this. Puerto Rico Open, Mayakoba, Bermuda, all those events like that. Corrales, he typically plays well at. And so I don't mind him as a play at that price point. Obviously, he's a relatively strong stat fit. Brian Stewart as well. We can even go lower to like Ryan Armour. And then, like, even mentioned Steve Stricker on Twitter. Like, I believe he's still in the field. Typically, just a smart golfer. And if we know anything about this course, and if we've seen anything about the recent winners at this course, it's you really just have to play smart, hit the ball accurately, and make some putts. That could be Steve Stricker. I'm not too worried about him getting outclassed by people that can drive it longer. So, all in all, Brandon Todd at that price point worries me. I don't see the point of playing up for him. Yeah, I mean, you do have to play a little bit of Brian Harman on FanDuel, obviously. I'd probably go 50-50 if I was playing like 5 lineups. Obviously, you can't go 50-50, but probably fade him in 3 and play him in 2. It's just that kind of week. I kind of hate when FanDuel or DraftKings does that. I talked about this a ton with DraftKings. Each and every week they've done that, where they price someone in the 8K range that we have no reason to fade whatsoever, and then they just suck. I think it was Denny McCarthy 2 events ago, or last event now. And then now this event is Joel Damon. I'll pull up Joel Damon. Because it's just amazing. Like, these guys where we just have no reason to fade them. They're in solid recent form, good course history, solid stat fits. They're checking all the boxes, and then they just go out and miss the cut. Kind of sums up fall golf recently, but you look at Joel Damon here, solid play, 3 straight make cuts in a row, 4 straight make cuts in a row. Actually, great stat fit. Really only struggles in total putting, but everything else is top 50 or better. Great course history here as well. Solid price points. Like, we have no reason to fade him this week, except for the fact that we have no reason to fade him, because that has been the theme this fall for some weird, strange reason that the DK Pricer is just like, yep, we're gonna get another one. We're gonna get him again this week, and yeah, I don't know. That's the only worry. Obviously, you have to play him because there's no reason not to, but it's just kind of a funny thing there. John Huh, Wise, or Doug Gim, or Pat Perez. Yeah, for me, it's Huh, it's Doug Gim, and then I'd probably go with Pat Perez and then Wise in that order. Really like John this week. I already touched on him. Great play. Ranks out top 10 in my model this week. Second best stat fit in the field this week as well. Doug Gim, I get the appeal for him. I think he's going to be a little bit more chalky than he probably should be. Let's pull him up. So, good recent form. 2 top 20 finishes in a row. Obviously, he's not good at driving accuracy there. This is what I worry about with him, especially with the fact that he's looking like he's going to be juiced up a little bit more ownership wise than he should be. Driving accuracy is bad, total putting is bad, strokes gain total is bad. Birdie to bogey ratio has been saving him, and his strokes gain approach has been saving him. Everything else has been kind of poor. So, if he does struggle driving accuracy wise, I don't know. It could get risky with him. If he's not making the putts, it could get risky. I still like him as a GPP play, but there are some other good enough plays in that price point range where I don't think we have to worry about the ownership too much with him, but I do like him. I'll pull up Huh on this one here, Brian. So hey Brian, if you're on the 9 to 5 sports page and you're messing around with the filters, you have to go back and reset the filter for that chart. So let's say, well, let me go back to the full one. I don't know. You do this. A lot of the field is going to be out of there then, So that could be why you're not seeing him. That'd be my guess. But I'll pull him up here again because I just like him at this price point range. I'll pull up him and Denny because him and Denny are kind of popping for me both. They're both at the same price point range. If McCarthy had made the cut last week or in his last tournament, I'd be on him a little bit more, but he does have the missed cut at the RSM Classic last week. And course history-wise, it's not the strongest. It's kind of like Brian Harman if Brian Harman was not as good of a stat fit. These two are actually graying out as the top two for me stat fit wise. It's a lot due to the driving accuracy. McCarthy with his putting, you just look at everything really strong stat fit wise. He needs to cut down on the bogeys a little bit more. And if he does that, he's going to have a strong week. With Answer and Carlos Ortiz. DFS Chef has found himself on Answer and Carlos Ortiz the most in his builds. So I haven't actually been doing that. I've been on Abraham Answer and Joel Damon have been like my starting points. And then it's just going from there, kind of what do I want to do from there. But Carlos Ortiz, you mentioned it. I think he's a very interesting play. I think people are not going to play him as much just because he is priced up. And I did mention this on the 9 to 5 write-up as well. It's that for Carlos Ortiz, we're kind of paying up for a guy just because he was the previous winner here, or not previous winner, had a second place finish here last year and is a winner in his last start. So his price is a little bit more juiced up than it should be. I think he should be priced like probably 400 or 500 cheaper. Driving accuracy isn't exactly there. Total putting isn't exactly there, but all the other stats are good enough for me. And he's still, once again, going back to the quality of the field, he still ranks out as a top 10 stat play or stat rank this week. So I do like him as a play. Obviously, he's a lot better golfer now than he was in years past here. Made 2 out of 3 cuts here, obviously. So I actually don't mind that. And you could go full homeland narrative there. Who is the other guy? Let's find him. It's like min priced. I don't want to butcher his name. It starts with the A, I believe. He had like a 20th place finish here in 2018, I believe it was. Just pull him up course history wise, because that's I know how to filter it. Yeah, Arinando. I can't butcher his name, but he's kind of struggled on Corn Ferry Tour recently and whatnot. So Wesley Bryan is chalk, Brian? What? There is no way Wesley Bryan is chalk. There, what? That has to be a lie. There's no way Wesley Bryan is chalk this week. See, this is why I kind of love not looking at ownerships that much. Like I'll glance at it a little bit, but there's no way he's chalk. That's a horrible play. No, he is not chalk. I'm sorry, that's just not true. Driving accuracy has been bad this year. Bad course history, bad recent form. Why would Brian or Wesley Bryan be chalk? I get the price point play, but no, he is not. I'm telling you right now, he is not chalk. That's crazy to me. That's laughable. I don't like to laugh that much at chalk, but that is bad chalk. There's no reason for him to be chalk at that price point. I'll just go back. The value tier sucks. No one should be going out of their way to play someone in the value tier. And one thing I do agree about chalk is that if there is value chalk, for the most part, it does make sense to fade them because obviously those guys are value plays for a reason for the most part, except for Brian Harmon this week on FanDuel. But they're value plays for a reason because it's either consistency or cut likelihood. I don't know. That's just a bad play to me. So we'll just look at these guys. I'll sort them by model ranking here. Cameron Piercy, once again, I don't really like that, but he would make more sense. JJ Spawn would make more sense. Brian Stewart, I already touched on him. Brandon Steele, I'd like a little bit better. David Hearn is out, but I kind of liked him a little bit. Even my boy DJ Trahan, I don't mind. I don't know. That's surprising to me. I don't think anyone should be chalking the value tier at all this week. That's just don't go that low. It really does drop off here at this like 7.4 to 7K range. After there, it's really bad, but this range is pretty solid there. Lots of quality plays in this price point range, like Henrik Norlander, I don't even like. He's popping a little bit stat wise. Yeah, Lucas Glover, who really struggling right now, but typically this would be a good course for him. Chesson Hadley as well. This typically would be a good course for him. Austin Cook. That's just shocking to me. Yeah, 10% for that. I don't like that at all. That's not good for me. I would stay away from that. Just one quick thing here to wrap it up. We'll be trying to do a similar format to this for the NFL page as well. I haven't exactly figured out how I want to manipulate the stats, whether I want it to be sorted by position, player. It gets kind of difficult because the nice thing about the PGA page is that I can like just click on the player. I don't know. That's fine. Russell Henley, sure. I can pick on the player and pull up like all the data relevant to him. For NFL, it's a little bit different because, like, let's say I wanted to play like Russell Wilson. I could click on Russell Wilson, but I want the opponent data to pop up. I want his stats to pop up. And I kind of have to do it position by position. So instead of like recent form, tournament history, and key stats, it'd be quarterback, opponent stats, and then player stats, and then it'd be 5 different ones of that. If Wesley Bryan wins, Brian, I will give you like, I don't know, 6-month free membership to the 9to5 Sports page if Wesley Bryan wins. I don't know, it's just laughable. And I'll send Wesley Bryan a nice little gift there. I just don't see it happening. And I loved Wesley Bryan like 3 months ago, and then he burned everyone, and I just don't see why people are going back to it. Maybe they're just chalking it up to one horrible week, but the course history is bad. I don't know. I don't think it's smart to go into the value tier this range, although I did touch on this in the core plays video, is that the strategy has been kind of to go studs and duds this year to have like the best lineup. I just don't see that happening this weekend. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Once again, I will be out of the office kind of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll be back Sunday, so I won't be that available as much as I would be on a typical weekend. I'm getting married this weekend. DFS Chef mentioned that a little bit already as well. So My availability will be capped a little bit. Response times will be a little bit lower. So we'll still be checking the stuff, just not going to be as fast. All right. Appreciate you guys joining the live stream today. Hope you guys have a good week at the Mayakoba Golf Classic. Should be a good one. And